You know that feeling when someone from your past shows up at exactly the wrong moment and decides to spill secrets you thought were buried forever? Well, that's precisely what just happened to Meghan Markle. And the person holding the shovel? Sarah Ferguson. Fergie just pulled off what might be the most calculated revenge move in modern royal history, and honestly, the fallout is absolutely wild. This isn't your typical royal drama with polite disagreements behind closed doors. This is a full-blown war, fought with carefully chosen words, strategic media appearances, and the kind of shade that leaves marks. And it all kicked off in the most unexpected way possible. Fergie was out doing press for her latest book. Standard stuff, right? The whole redemption narrative, talking about personal growth, overcoming adversity. Everyone's nodding along, asking the usual softball questions. Then someone decides to poke the bear and asks about Meghan Markle's influence on the royal family. The temperature in that room apparently dropped about 20 degrees. People who were there said Fergie's entire energy shifted. She went quiet for a moment, did this deliberate head tilt, and just said one word, Meghan. But the way she said it, loaded with meaning. Then she started telling this story that seemed innocent on the surface but was actually dripping with implication. She talked about summers on yachts, young, ambitious women drawn to the glamour of royal connections, the parties, the networking, the constant performance of it all. People mingling with the wealthy and powerful, hoping to catch the right person's attention. And then she dropped this line that set everything on fire. Some of those faces from those yacht parties ended up in places nobody expected, including Buckingham Palace itself. The internet exploded instantly. People started digging through archives, pulling up photos from yacht parties in the early 2000s. The Mediterranean, Monaco, Greece, all these events where models, actresses, socialites, and ridiculously wealthy people would gather. And buried in those memories? A young woman who would later become Meghan Markle. And even more problematically, Prince Andrew's name kept surfacing in connection to some of those same events. Now, nobody's making explicit accusations about anything inappropriate between Meghan and Andrew, but Fergie didn't need to. The suggestion alone was enough to send shockwaves through every royal household and straight into Meghan's California sanctuary. What Fergie accomplished, intentionally or not, was dragging up the exact chapter of Meghan's life that's been most carefully managed and protected by her team. The yacht girl era, the networking years, the time before she became the Duchess of Sussex. And just when you think it couldn't get more dramatic, paparazzi catch up with Fergie the very next day. They ask her directly about Meghan and those yacht summers. And Fergie? She gives them this knowing smile and says, I don't traffic in tales, darling. I simply remind people that every fairy tale has an origin story. The woman is a poet of petty. The palace is in complete meltdown mode. They've been working so hard to project unity, healing, moving forward as a modern institution. And here comes Fergie with a verbal grenade. Royal aides are reportedly describing her timing as catastrophic. But that raises the obvious question, why would Fergie do this? Turns out there's history here. Real bad blood. The story goes that Meghan never gave Fergie the respect she felt she deserved. When Meghan first joined the family, she apparently dismissed Fergie, didn't seek her counsel, treated her like she was irrelevant. And then there's Princess Eugenie's wedding. That beautiful day that should have been all about Eugenie. Except Meghan and Harry chose that exact time to announce their pregnancy. The headlines shifted instantly. Eugenie's moment got completely overshadowed. Fergie never forgot that. People close to her said she saw it as typical Meghan behavior, making someone else's celebration about herself. So now, this is payback. Served cold, served publicly, and served with that signature Fergie smile that says she knows exactly what she's doing. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, Meghan's team has gone into crisis mode. They're scrambling, trying to scrub the internet of old photographs and blog posts. But it's impossible. Once something's out there, it's out there forever. And the fact that Andrew's name is anywhere near this story makes it exponentially worse. Nobody wants that association. Not now, not ever. Meghan is reportedly furious. Beyond furious. She sees this as betrayal, as jealousy, as a coordinated attack from people who never wanted her in the family to begin with. Fergie's playing it coy, dropping these cryptic comments and letting everyone else fill in the blanks. And the palace is just trying to prevent total institutional collapse. It's messy, it's public, and it's absolutely riveting. While Meghan's PR professionals are working around the clock doing damage control, Fergie's out here acting like this is all just casual conversation, like she's not fully aware of the chaos she's created. And honestly, you have to admire the strategy. She's playing this perfectly. The headlines are absolutely savage. Every major publication is running variations of the same story. Fergie's comments spark royal crisis. Meghan in meltdown over Duchess's yacht remarks. It's a complete disaster for Meghan's carefully constructed narrative. Everything she worked to distance herself from is suddenly front-page news again. And here's what makes it even stranger. Meghan's gone completely silent online. Her website? Dark? Her social media? Nothing. All those trademark applications and business ventures? Radio silence. She's in full bunker mode, which probably means she's planning something significant. Anyone who knows Meghan knows that silence from her doesn't mean surrender, it means strategy. Sources say she's in constant crisis meetings, long phone calls with her publicist, reaching out to old contacts. She even called Eugenie, which must have been the most awkward conversation in recent history. Eugenie's stuck right in the middle of this mess, caught between her mother and her cousin-in-law. That's a family dinner nobody wants to attend. But Fergie's side isn't backing down either. There are whispers that she has more stories, that she could clarify quite a bit about what really happened in those early days when Meghan first entered royal life. If that's true, this is just the opening act. For years, Meghan's team has worked incredibly hard to separate her current image from her past. The networking, the parties, the hustle of building a career in an industry that demands constant visibility. They wanted all of that forgotten, erased, irrelevant. But Fergie just broke the unspoken rule. You don't expose the past. And now the floodgates are open. This is Meghan's nightmare scenario. Her pre-royal life is colliding head-on with her carefully managed public persona. And everyone's watching to see how she responds. Because Meghan doesn't back down from fights. She never has. But this time is different. She's not up against a tabloid journalist or a faceless palace staffer. She's facing another duchess who understands the royal game intimately, who's survived her own scandals, and who apparently has a long memory. The moment this story broke, Meghan allegedly went absolutely ballistic, pacing her mansion, sending furious messages. "After everything I've sacrificed for that family," she reportedly said. You can feel the rage, the sense of betrayal. But Meghan knows media. She spent years in Hollywood learning how to control narratives. So she's not about to let Fergie write this story. Her team is crafting what they're calling a counter-narrative. The goal is simple: reclaim control of the headlines and reshape public perception. And Meghan's thinking big. Word is she's been in contact with streaming executives about a documentary project. Not just a response, but a complete reclaiming of her truth. It's not defensive, it's offensive. A full rebrand. But Fergie isn't retreating. She's still out there, smiling serenely, saying things like, "I don't believe anyone should fear the truth. Do you?" Which naturally triggers another round of media frenzy. The tabloids are having the time of their lives. They're running side-by-side comparisons. The Duchess who stayed versus the Duchess who left. It's brutal and effective. Meghan's whole aesthetic, the soft, neutral tones, the calm compassion, the California serenity, is being systematically dismantled. Then the photographs start appearing, old images from private events, yacht parties, glamorous gatherings. All taken completely out of context, but context doesn't matter to the internet. They just want the drama. Harry's reportedly as angry as Meghan. He's trying to protect her, but every move seems to backfire. He feels like the Windsors have closed ranks once again, and Meghan's being cast as the perpetual outsider. But Meghan's not retreating. If they want a PR war, she'll give them one. She's photographed leaving a women's leadership event looking absolutely composed, smiling at cameras like nothing's wrong. But behind that smile, there's pure defiance. Every time they come for me, she allegedly told a friend, I come back stronger. And to her credit, she usually does. Her entire brand is built on resilience, on overcoming obstacles. But even the strongest armor shows cracks eventually. Meanwhile, Fergie's doing her own charm tour. She's on daytime television, telling stories that are just vague enough to be deniable, but specific enough that everyone knows exactly who she means. She talks about royal newcomers who wanted the crown before earning it, about people who mistake access for acceptance, and everyone knows she's talking about Meghan. The internet's choosing sides. Team Fergie is trending worldwide. Duchess versus Duchess generates millions of interactions within hours. Meghan's team watches the narrative shift in real time. She's no longer seen as the victim. Now she's being painted as the aggressor, the manipulator, the disruptor. So Meghan makes a bold decision. She's going on camera, not for a documentary series, not a podcast episode, something bigger, a televised conversation about truth, about womanhood, about taking back her story from those who've distorted it. It's designed to silence all the whispers. But in the royal world, sometimes silence carries more weight than words. And Meghan's voice, no matter how polished, always comes with risk. Just as Meghan's planning this major televised moment, something unexpected happens. Fergie's allies start coming forward, old acquaintances, former palace staff, people who remember those early days when Meghan first joined the family, and their accounts aren't exactly glowing portraits. What started as one woman defending herself has become a full-scale media war, a battle of duchesses, competing loyalties, and conflicting legacies. The real question isn't who wins, it's who survives. Because as one palace insider apparently put it, Fergie's been dragged through hell and lived to tell about it. Meghan's still learning that when you challenge the institution hits back twice as hard. By the time Meghan's truth reclamation project entered pre-production, the storm gathering outside her California home had already grown into something far more dangerous than anyone anticipated. Here's what this really comes down to. This stopped being a personal dispute between two women a long time ago. This is about power, about who controls the narrative, about institutional authority versus individual voice. And let's be clear, the palace doesn't play fair. These whispers from Fergie's allies, they're calculated, strategic, designed to undermine Meghan's credibility before she even speaks. It's a classic tactic: discredit your opponent before they can mount a defense. And it's working, at least partially. People are already skeptical of Meghan. They see her as the Hollywood actress who married into tradition, tried to revolutionize a 1,000-year-old institution, and then left when it got difficult. Trust is already fractured. That fracture is what's fueling this entire situation. But Meghan understands the game she's playing. She knows the odds are against her. That's exactly why this tell-all interview approach is so high stakes. She needs to humanize herself, to cut through the caricature that's been created. She needs people to believe her version of events. And that's incredibly difficult, because the royal family has mastered narrative control over centuries. They know how to manage media, how to spin stories, how to emerge looking dignified while their opponents look unstable. They've had literal centuries of practice. So Meghan's not just fighting Fergie, she's fighting an entire system, an institution that predates modern media and has adapted to survive every challenge. That's a fight with terrible odds. But that doesn't mean she's surrendering. She's already proven her willingness to go to war with the establishment. She walked away from royal duties. She gave explosive interviews that damaged the family's reputation globally. She's burned those bridges completely. She has nothing left to lose, and that's what makes her dangerous. When you've got nothing left to lose, you're willing to risk everything. You take swings you wouldn't normally take. You tell truths that others keep buried. So what happens next? We're headed for something explosive. Meghan's interview is going to contain revelations that shake people. The palace will retaliate. They'll leak more damaging stories. They'll work to discredit her further. They'll use every tool in their considerable arsenal to shut her down. It's going to be ugly, public, and utterly fascinating. And honestly, I'm not sure anyone emerges from this victorious. But one thing is absolutely certain: the royal family will never be what it was. Meghan's already forced changes they never wanted to make. This latest crisis will only accelerate that transformation. The monarchy is evolving whether they want it to or not, and Meghan Markle is a primary catalyst for that change. As for Fergie, she's sitting back watching the chaos unfold. She's always been somewhat outside the inner circle, always a bit rebellious. And now she's found a way to strike at the institution without taking direct blame. It's genuinely brilliant strategy. She's using Meghan as a piece in her own game of royal chess, and Meghan might not even realize it's happening. Or maybe she does realize and simply doesn't care anymore. Maybe she's so focused on winning the immediate battle that she's missing the larger war being waged around her. Either way, it's absolutely fascinating to watch. This is better than any scripted drama because it's real. Real people, real consequences, real institutional power at stake. And it's only going to intensify from here. The next few months will define how this story gets remembered. Whether Meghan becomes a cautionary tale or a revolutionary figure. Whether Fergie's seen as petty or protective. Whether the monarchy adapts or continues crumbling under the weight of its own traditions. One thing's for certain: nobody's changing the channel. This story has everything: power, betrayal, competing narratives, institutional warfare, and two women who refuse to back down. The stakes couldn't be higher, and the outcome is completely uncertain. So buckle up. This ride is far from over.